Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa. I'm the director of LifeSTEM Academy and the Learning Institute for Excellence, based in Moorhead, Minnesota, as well as Duluth, Minnesota. I'm here this morning to share with you a few things from our handbook, which has just been released. And what I want to do with this video is give families the opportunity to hear more about our story, hear about why we exist, and then we can go from there into different details relating to the school year. So thank you again for taking time to watch this. I hope that you're encouraged as you hear my story in education. I grew up in Nigeria. I was born in northeastern Nigeria, and I grew up in most of my 0 to 6 years. I lived in that northeastern part of the country in a state called Adamawa State, as well as a state called Bauchi State. Then we moved to Lagos, Nigeria, which is where a lot of my education happened. I went to Air Force Primary School in Lagos, and then I went to Federal Government College, Lagos, where I was blessed to be the student body president, or we called it the head boy. I graduated in 2005, and during those days of life after graduation, I had some time and opportunity to do whatever I wanted to do, just because the colleges would keep you at home sometimes for a year or two. You just had to sit and wait. And so I decided during that time, I was quite involved at my church, and I decided that I was going to start going to these different schools. I was inspired and encouraged just with the mentors I had around me, and I just had a burning desire to inspire the youth, to inspire the young people of the time. And so as a young boy, I started traveling around the country, around the state, or around the Federal Capital Territory where I was living in Abuja, and I started speaking at different schools. And I shared in January of 2006 with a school called Government Secondary School Kuje in Abuja. And then eventually I shared at Government Secondary School just in different schools. And during that time, somebody from the U.S. Embassy heard about the work and invited me in. And that is part of how I ended up in America, was because of going around using the gift which I had been given. And I thank God for the gifts I've been given. And that goes down to one of the most important things about my story and my life and my goal, which is I want to inspire young people to use the gifts they've been given. Every one of them has a gift. I want them to use those gifts, to develop those gifts. We want to inspire students to build on the gifts they've been given, to make an impact in their society where they live. And so LifeSTEM Academy is a school, is a physical school that we have. However, we also have online courses. We have opportunities for people to connect from other parts of the country. Our goal, yes, is to provide a quality education, to provide the best education possible for the 21st century student. But then on top of that, we also want to see American education change completely. And so we have two goals. Fundamentally, of course, one is to provide support for families here in the state of Minnesota and North Dakota, eventually South Dakota. But then beyond that, we want to provide support for families across the nation. And that is where you'll be hearing from us from our weekly podcast. So stay tuned for that, where we'll be sharing stories and ideas about education. So I'm going to go over the handbook. That's a little bit of my background. I came to America, got my degree in chemistry, and later in this video, I'm going to go into detail as far as my own story. Who is this Amos Tarfa guy? Where did he, what's his academic background? I'll do that later in the video if it's okay. And right now, I'm going to focus on the handbook. So the handbook here starts out with just the crest we have. We have a logo here that it has LifeSTEM Academy. It has 4 images, and then it says redeeming the time. Right on the front of the handbook, you see some pictures from Scotland and England at Oxford University. We took our students to Oxford and Cambridge and Scotland. And the reason why we did that is because at LifeSTEM Academy, we really believe in the importance of teaching the history and philosophy of science. If we are going to talk about Isaac Newton, then let's study why Isaac Newton did what he did. If we're going to talk about electricity and magnetism, then let's go to Scotland and study the works of James Clerk Maxwell, who was the one who showed that light was electromagnetic radiation. So let's help students to discover the meaning or the history behind the things that they're learning. Let's make learning let's make sure we're doing as much hands-on learning as possible. That is part of what LifeSTEM Academy is about. We want to inspire students to use the gifts they've been given to be the best they can be in the communities they find themselves. Essentially, we want them to be like Daniel. We want our students to be like the man Daniel in the Bible. Fundamentally, we want them ultimately to know and to be like Jesus. But we want them to learn, when you talk about a human being, we want them to be like Daniel. We want them to flourish in the work that they do. We want them to do things in excellence, whether it's washing the dishes, taking out the trash, doing math problems, or learning world history. We want students that pursue excellence. That is the name of a book I wrote in 2009 called Pursuing Excellence. And so I had written one in 2006 called Achieving Excellence as a Young Person. And then I wrote one called Pursuing Excellence, Christianity 201, The Pursuit of Excellence. We want students that pursue excellence in all that they do. And ultimately, they can then make an impact in society. When you pursue excellence in developing the gifts that you've been given, you can make a huge impact in the society that you live in. So, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 16 is a very important verse for us. It says, redeeming the time, for the days are evil. The days that we're living in have a lot of evil that is being propagated, that is being pushed out. A lot of things that are taught that are just not so. A lot of history that is taught that is just not so. As I said, I went to Federal Government College, Lagos, and one thing I'll mention here about my heart and my desire in education before I dive into the nuts and bolts is that in Lagos, Nigeria, there's a place called Badagry. And Badagry actually has a museum. It has a place that you can visit where you actually see where the slave ships were released from. Lagos is right off the coast there, right there in West Africa. And I grew up learning about and being aware of the slave trade. But there's one person that we don't talk enough about in American schools, and that's the man by the name of William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce was inspired to make a change in the society that he lived in. And William Wilberforce fought for the end of slave trade in England. What people in America forget sometimes, number one, is that slavery is as old as the history of humanity. That's number one. Slavery is old. But who are the people who fought to end slavery? People who were inspired, right? People like William Wilberforce, they were inspired to end it because they recognized that people were made in the image of God. They studied their Bibles. They studied what God's plan was for humanity. And they said, this is not right. And so William Wilberforce, you can read about his story and what he did in the 1700s leading into the 1800s, from which point then we see America also making a change. So this is very important to note that William Wilberforce had a mission. He was inspired by people like John and Charles Wesley, and then they were inspired by people like George Whitefield. William Wilberforce consulted with a man named John Newton, and he realized John Newton had changed his ways, and John Newton was doing right now and doing the right things that he should be doing. And William Wilberforce was inspired, and he fought for the end of slave trade. Why do I bring this up? Because one of the big topics we hear in education today is how people try to bring up these topics as though it's only peculiar to America. And then they forget that the end of slavery came, or slave trade came, because of people like William Wilberforce. And so at LifeSTEM Academy, we teach our students to learn about people like William Wilberforce, to learn about the impact that William Wilberforce made on the world. People like John Wesley and Charles Wesley and George Whitefield and Thomas Sowell. I know he's more modern, but I'm just giving you examples of people that we teach about. Why do we want them to learn about these people? Because when they learn about these people, they hopefully can be inspired to then pursue excellence and bring about change in the world that they live in. We need to inspire young people, and I'll go into detail in that in my next podcast episode. But I just want to encourage you with that, with the story of William Wilberforce. And so when it's all said and done, LifeSTEM Academy wants to inspire the next generation of people like William Wilberforce that will go out in the world and make things right. Because there are still challenges in the world today. There are still problems in the world today. But ultimately, those problems have to be solved by people who have the right vision for what life is about. And ultimately, that can be found in the truth of God's Word. So LifeSTEM Academy is inspiring young people to redeem the times. We are a STEM school, so we're very interested in helping our students study STEM courses. We want people to take physical science and biology at the same time. We want people to take chemistry and physics at the same time. We want them to take multiple years of chemistry, multiple years of physics, multiple years of biology, multiple years of computer science, multiple years of mathematics. What I was blessed to have in Federal Government College, Lagos, is what I'm trying to give to America today. So the first emblem, the first thing you see on our logo is the atom, the atomic structure that we use. So we want students to study science well. But even if you don't want to be a scientist, LifeSTEM Academy is also a place that will help you to learn history well, to learn English well. Let me quickly say this about English. English is one of the most tricky subjects out there. Here's what I mean. You can use almost any book to teach English, and that's why it's tricky. Because, and the survey is out there, you could study it yourself, there is a lot of nonsense, and I mean literally a lot of nonsense that can be taught in an English classroom, and it concerns me. We need English to be taught in the context of truth as well. Unfortunately, there are many people out there that might be teaching your children English that are teaching them nonsense. Be careful what your children are learning. Make sure you're aware of what they're learning. So Lifestem Academy exists for several reasons, but two main reasons. Number one, raise the bar in education. Because the K-12 education in America, the bar is too low. And now you might say, but Mr. Amos, if the bar is too low, why are the scores dropping around the nation? Well, that's because we're not inspiring students to care. We need to inspire students to care about their futures, to think and learn about the different professions out there, to think and learn about the different challenges that are out there in the world and how they can meet those challenges. If children have vision for life, then maybe they'll care more. And if they care more, then maybe their grades will move up, right? There's a chain here we have to look at. And so we want students to be aware of different professions and fields so that they can make an educated decision about what they want to do with the lives they've been blessed with. So raise the bar. In any field of study, we teach all the subjects that you will find in a traditional school, but we want to go above and beyond. We are also teaching things like mental wellness and mental well-being because we want our students to flourish in mental health as well. Our sister school in Grand Forks, North Dakota, has a person whose PhD and focus is on child development and mental health, and she's going to be helping us to really establish our mental health program here. So we have science, STEM, raising the bar. We want to give the best STEM education in the world. Our students can graduate with over 30 credits in math and science courses, college courses. Before they graduate high school, we want to give them 30 math and science courses. And that's what we do for our students who are willing to step up to the challenge. Number two, we want our students to be rooted, and that's where you see the picture of a tree. We want them to be grounded and rooted in truth. We want them to be people that are flourishing. We want them to make sure that they are flourishing in all areas of life. Number three, books. You see a book there, the Bible, but then also we're talking about books in general. We want our students to read and read, to make sure they're making time to read. We want to see less time spent on smartphones and devices and more time spent on reading. We want our students to use the time they have as teenagers to invest in their future by reading good books. A lot of books that I've read in my life, a lot of books I read came from my 7th to 12th grade years. And it is so sad to see a culture where we are not encouraging enough. We're not encouraging students enough to read nonfiction books. We were reading books by Zig Ziglar and John Maxwell when we were in high school. I mean, just think about what that does for you. It teaches you a lot about leadership. It teaches you a lot about how the world works. These are the books we want our students to read. They're going to be reading a lot of Thomas Sowell. They're going to be reading a lot of original works from people like Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations. And then, of course, books like Wayne Grudem's The Poverty of Nations, Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, Benjamin Franklin, David McCullough. Our students will have the opportunity to read. This is part of why we have a bookstore right here on campus. And all these books are available to our students to borrow and read throughout the year. And then the last piece of the crest is blocks, like building blocks. And so Lifestem Academy, we think of ourselves as though we're living in the days of Nehemiah, a day and a time, or the days and time to build. It is a time to build. This is the season and this is the time to build. So we want our students to be aware of that and to grow in just building their communities, building their homes. We want our parents to have students at home who are helping them. They're building and thinking about legacy. That's part of what the blocks represent. Our culture is in ruins and we need to build. I'll mention one more key thing about the mission and the vision of Lifestem Academy, and that is Lifestem Academy. When we think about the hospitals that were built in the early 1900s, and we think about people that invested in, building hospitals like the Methodist Hospital in Texas, and I'm just giving an example there with what was built back then. Basically, the church back then was trying to build to meet the needs of society. We want to build and help with the healing of the mind that is happening in our culture. There is a lot of sick stuff out there in our culture. There's a lot of things that are upside down in society. Lifestem Academy exists to make them right. We cannot allow people to be teaching nonsense, to be exposing kids to ideologies that are detrimental to their mental health, and then talking about the fact that there's mental health problems. You're giving the children things that will affect them negatively and then concerned that the children are being affected negatively. Well, maybe you should examine what you're teaching the children. Are you teaching the children that they were created for a purpose? Are you teaching the children that their lives should be centered on truth? Are you teaching the children that they have gifts and talents and abilities they need to be building on right away? Are we doing that with the children, or are we more focused on teaching the children things that don't matter? Those are the questions I want you to consider in the education of your child. And that part of that segment was just encouraging teachers. Teachers, are we teaching the children the things that will help them flourish in society? So that's the emblem for LifeSTEM Academy there. So this is our handbook. This is the handbook for LifeSTEM Academy 2023-2024. We exist to redeem the time. We want to inspire young people to flourish. We have a school song that is right on the first section here. And the lyrics of the songs go, where Christ is exalted, King of glory and of grace, where content is mastered, minds sharp to run the upward race, where careers are prepared, good works ordained by God for each, where character is built, that we may diminish and he increase, where community thrives, where Christ is saving lives, we have the heart of Ezra, we are bold like Nehemiah, we are LifeSTEM Academy. That is the school song for LifeSTEM Academy. It focuses on the 5 C's. The 5 C's of LifeSTEM Academy are Christ exalted, character developed, community built and culture transformed, careers prepared, and content mastered. Those are the focus points for LifeSTEM Academy. We want truth to be taught. We want children to grow in character. We want community built. With the families involved in LifeSTEM Academy, we have about 8 events spread out throughout the year where families are welcome to join us. Whether it's a potluck, whether it's a talent night, whether it's a movie night, whether it's a sporting event, we want families to come together. Speaking about sports, LifeSTEM Academy has a basketball gym. We also have opportunities for soccer, for pickleball, for soccer, pickleball, and then ping pong. I grew up playing soccer, and that's very important to a lot of people I know from Nigeria love soccer, and we're going to have a lot of opportunities to work on our soccer skill and build our soccer team. We have a basketball court, and we'll use that to train our students who will be competing in basketball as well. So let's look at the handbook. There's a few items I'm going to cover. I'm going to go over a brief overview. I've already done a lot of that, but I'm going to go over that briefly. Talk about the programs we offer. I'll talk about the class demarcations for this school year. I'll talk about the math and science curriculum and vision. We'll talk about the different courses that we have to offer, and then we'll wrap it up and go into detail about who Amos Tarfa is. What students need fundamentally in academics today is not information. They need inspiration and vision. They can get information from the library as well as Google. Once they're inspired and hardworking, the technology and coaching and teaching available will help them excel in whatever they choose to study. With the technology and tools available, teachers can help students master concepts in mathematics and science like never before. One of the reasons why I came up with that quote years ago was when I realized that the Google ability out there, the ability to Google things, is something that people don't recognize and integrate into their learning. Students can Google and find things that they need to learn in terms of content if they have some direction. But what they need is to be inspired to care enough to Google those things, right? So we need to keep inspiring our students. Education, as William Butler says, is not about filling a bucket. It's about lighting a fire. And that's what LifeSTEM Academy seeks to do. We need to constantly seek ways to get students excited about excelling and excited about learning. At LifeSTEM Academy, we aim to have teachers inspire students to have a vision by the grace of God. We use math and science history as well as math and science applications and career details to inspire our students. LifeSTEM Academy is open to the whole community. It's open to anybody. It's a group of Christian educators that are trying to transform society. So if you want to come and spend time with us, and maybe you've never stepped foot in a church, you've never stepped foot in a place with a Christian community, you're welcome to come on in and join and see what's happening and see the curriculum we're using. We are seeking to provide an efficient and effective education alternative for families. Our students who follow our STEM plan can graduate high school with over 30 credits of just STEM courses. But we could even get you more credits if you study for the CLEP, which we're going to integrate now. Every Friday, we want our students to make time for CLEP preparation. Work hard from Monday to Thursday so that on Friday, you're doing a lot of CLEP preparation exams and things that are more specific to the CLEP exam, which is how you get the college credit. This reduces the amount of time that a student will need to graduate from college. So if you do all the CLEP tests, if you study hard, you can graduate with up to 60 credits so that you don't have to repeat those. Now, in a traditional college, you need 120 credits to graduate. So you could come here, get up to 60 credits, and then go into college as a junior. That's our plan for you if you want to join us on this journey. Our students as young as 7th and 8th grade can start getting college credit by passing these exams for the CLEP test. LifeSTEM Academy is part of a network of schools called Vision Inspirational STEM Academies. The goal of these academies is to provide an efficient education experience for students. In a traditional school setting, children spend over 18,000 hours in school from kindergarten to 12th grade, which is about an average of 8 hours a day and 175 days of each school year. This includes homework time as well. At the end of that time, we should hope that students have some direction for life. However, this is not always happening. This is one area the LifeSTEM Academy is seeking to change. We want to provide the best STEM education possible while partnering with parents in preparing their children to flourish in whatever academic areas they want to go into. So if you have a 5th grader that knows they want to study space, they want to study aerodynamics, and they want to study aeronautical engineering, we will give them the best training possible starting now in 5th grade. We will do our best to connect every student that has direction with a mentor in that field who can then inspire them to start thinking of solutions in that field. So imagine if somebody wants to be a researcher, a biochemist. We connect you with a biochemist who's working on cancer research and give you the opportunity to see, are there other aspects of research that you can come up with that will help in the field of cancer research? So if we meet someone who wants to be an astrophysicist, we'll provide them with a roadmap and any math and science support along the way. We will also help find a mentor, as I mentioned. So we teach our courses from a Christian worldview as we seek to encourage students to grow in the truth. So what are the programs that we offer at LifeSTEM Academy? We offer a hybrid education program for families from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., 2 days a week. And then we have a third day that is that's especially for electives. The 2 days a week depend on the specific campus that you're interested in. If you're in Moorhead, Minnesota, the campus meets on Mondays and Thursdays with the elective on Wednesdays. If you're in Grand Forks, North Dakota, they meet on Tuesdays and Fridays with Wednesdays as an elective. So you want to make sure you check with the director and with the staff of the specific campus. Our goal is to do something very similar to what Booker T. Washington did back in the 1800s into 1900s. We want to start a lot of schools and help communities to start a lot of schools. So I'll take this moment to talk about Vision Inspirational STEM Academies. Vision Inspirational STEM Academies are very similar in the curriculum they use, but they try to tailor things down to the communities that they're located in. Our goal is to beat out Booker T. Washington by starting 7,000 of these schools, and right now we're working on number 2. We'll see how we do over time. We want to create these schools all over the country because we see a lot of apathy in this nation. A lot of young people that are just sitting there saying, I don't know what to do with my life. And we're saying, let's inspire you to get some direction for life. Here are the breakdown for Moorhead, Minnesota. So here's the specific detail for Moorhead, Minnesota as of today, June 21st, 2023. We have a kindergarten to 3rd grade hybrid program, which meets on Mondays and Thursdays. The elective Wednesdays has an option for those students who want to come for electives. And I'll talk more about the electives here shortly. We also have a 4th grade and 5th grade classroom. We have a 6th grade and 7th grade classroom. We have an 8th to 10th grade classroom. And then we have 11th and 12th grade internship. It's called an internship because our 11th and 12th graders do not have to pay tuition at the Moorhead location. And that will be the same case for Grand Forks. The 11th and 12th graders will instead get experience working to serve the school as a community and the community. However, we will provide them with academic training and tutoring in their subjects that they're covering as well. We just want to teach them leadership, and we want to give them opportunities to serve. Our kindergarten to 3rd grade students will get training in elementary school math principles. They will get a Montessori type classroom, and we want to inspire them to build the skills and the passions and things that get them excited. We'll provide them with basic science concepts and experiments, some language arts and social studies. They have an opportunity to do some singing. There's, of course, character development. And then we have a French instructor for the kindergarten to 3rd grade classroom. We want our students to be fluent in multiple languages. From the 4th to 12th grade, we have mathematics, English, science, history, world history, economics, U.S. history, government. We also have logic and debate and apologetics that is interwoven into their curriculum. We have a choir elective that happens after school on Mondays and Thursdays. And then we have a foreign language course for French as well. There will be some opportunities to learn Greek as well as Latin over time. What are some of the after-school electives or Wednesday electives? We have computer science, we have chess club, we have soccer and track and field and basketball. We have students who will also be doing art, as well as I said, coding, but coding and computer science and computer etiquette will be built into the course. We'll have a science fair for students each year, and we'll help the students in picking a topic and guiding them along the way. We hope to inspire our students to excel in all areas of life, even as King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Let's talk about the coursework. We say we're a STEM school. What does that mean? What kind of courses do you have for people? Our math program, which I call in my own, just one way I call it, the Gauss-Euler-Newton Academy of Mathematics. Our math program will take students from basic elementary school math principles of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and we go based on your ability, not based on your grade level. We go based on your ability, but we are always encouraging you to keep moving forward. So you do your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You do your fractions, decimals, percents, ratios, and proportions. Then you move into Algebra 1, Algebra 2, pre-calculus, geometry. And pre-calculus and Algebra 2, you can CLEP, so we help you CLEP. After geometry, you do Calculus 1, and if you're ready and if you're able, we get you into Calculus 2, Calculus 3, linear algebra, differential equations, statistics, and then there's an online course we recommend for Fourier transform. Fourier transform is very relevant in the field of medicine in terms of CT scanners, MRI scanners, nuclear medicine machines, because it's the mathematics that helps with the image reconstruction and some of those pieces. That comes from a field called Fourier transform, comes from a mathematician named Fourier. So our math program is, again, named after the three best mathematicians in modern history: Carl Friedrich Gauss, Sir Isaac Newton, and Leonhard Euler, all three of which come from Germany, England, and Switzerland. And here's the interesting thing. We just visited Newton's campus, Trinity College in England, Cambridge. We went to his campus. We are going to Carl Friedrich Gauss and Leonhard Euler's places next spring. God willing, we're going to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. Austria just very short. We're just going to Vienna, and then we just want to see Strasbourg, Vienna. I mean, if you're talking of Western civilization, you have to add in Mozart and some of the work that came from there. So we're going to go to Austria briefly, but most of our time will be spent in Germany with a little bit of time in Switzerland, because that's where Leonhard Euler was born. He was born in Basel, Switzerland. So our students will get a chance, if they want, to come on this trip, especially our middle school, high school students. We want them to come learn about the history of Western civilization, which is a big part of our history this year, and then visit those locations. We also will be training for the Western Civilizations CLEP test, and so that's part of our history. So this is a good time to transition into history, and then I'll finish off with science. So that's our math offering. Some of those courses are online, some of those courses are self-studies, but we are teaching algebra, geometry, calculus, pre-calculus, and pre-algebra to all our students who are ready. Our history program involves world history, Western civilizations. It also involves a U.S. history integrated with government and economics, and then geography. Those are the courses that we offer for world history. Science, we have chemistry, physics, biology, astronomy, earth science, general science, physical science, and there's a series by Dr. J. Wiles on science in the beginning. There's a whole series, and we follow that series with our students. So not only do they learn science, they also learn the history of science along the way. We're seeking to provide a science and math education that exceeds that which Isaac Newton, Leonhard Euler, or Albert Einstein would have received. And that's why we're teaching a lot about the history and philosophy of science. We want our students to have the best education possible and to lead the way in educational excellence in America. There's a schedule, a math and science course offering schedule that goes over, this is like our dream. Again, please don't allow this to intimidate you. This is our dream for what we want for our students. We want our students to start calculus in 9th grade. That should be the norm. We want our students doing Calc 1 in 9th grade along with linear algebra and statistics, and then Calc 2 and Calc 3 in 10th grade, differential equations, discrete math, and career preparation in 11th grade, and then Fourier transform and computer science in 12th grade. That's what we want to be the norm. It's going to take some years, but that's where we're headed. Right now, we'll do an assessment of where your student is at, and then we help them fit into the perfect class that they need to go into. Our handbook goes into detail as far as the different curriculums we're using. Institute for Excellence in Writing, we're using Fixed Grammar, Phonetics Zoo. We're doing a literature assortment, different books for 4th grade, 5th grade, and so on. You can see those in the post that we'll be releasing, or you can email me and I'll send you a copy of all the books that we're reading. Now, this is just a starting point. If a student does all that reading, we expect that they can also do more in-depth reading on their own in other books they want to read, but we have a basic list of books. The 5th graders, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders are using the Notgrads from Adam to Us, and they're using the literature books that go with that, select literature books, as well as the 8th to 10th graders are also doing Notgrads with specific literature books, which can be found in the document with a list of books. I have a full list of our mathematics courses and the courses that you can CLEP, and you can see them listed here. There's a lot of courses for our students. We offer educational support year-round, and doesn't mean that students have to come in every day in the summer, but we're saying that if you're studying at home, for example, and you're doing pre-calculus and you have some questions, go ahead and email us. Let's schedule a Zoom meeting. Maybe you're out at the cabin. It's summertime. I get it. People want to go and enjoy the sunshine. Send us an email, and we can email with support for any of those STEM fields. We do our best to connect students to academic fields, people in their academic fields. So that's something, too, that you can be talking to your mentor about. Our schedule for Mondays and Thursdays. We have World History at 10 a.m., Biology or General Science at 10 a.m. for the other students, and then Biology or Chemistry for the older students in 11th or 12th grade. Our schedule, which you can find here, has all those courses described. So we have, here's the schedule from 9 o'clock is chapel. So we start with chapel, which is a mix of having guest speakers, a study through the epistles, as well as a study on character. We're studying a lot about character this year. Peter in the Bible, we're going to study his character. We're going to study Daniel's character, Joseph's character. We're going to learn lessons from their lives. And so on Mondays and Thursdays, every day, basically for the 5-day students, you get chapel at 9 o'clock. And sometimes chapel ends at 9:40, for example. And what we want to do with the remaining time is give students the time to just reflect, to think, to have quiet time. Our school is a no technology zone for cell phone use. In terms of smartphones, we don't want people on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter during the school day. None of that is allowed at our school. Moving forward, we are going to keep things simple for our students, meaning that when you come to school, you know that your phones are put away, you enjoy the time with people, you interact with people, and then at the end of the school day, you could use your phone. Now, what if a parent needs to get in touch with a child? We have a staff member. We have several staff members that you can contact. We have a school phone you can call. We have many opportunities for you to get in touch with your student. So please know that we take safety and security seriously. You can call. However, we do not want students on their phones playing games. And if there's an emergency, of course, the student can go call their parents. Come let us know. Go call their parents. Or if their parents need to talk to the student, we'll connect them together. The school buildings will be locked, so you want to make sure that you have the contact information and the relevant protocol for each of the schools that you attend. And so I'll have a separate video going into detail on that for orientation for the parents. So that's the Monday, Thursday schedule. It goes from 9 to 3. From 3:15 to 4:15 on Mondays and Thursdays, there's a choir opportunity with Dr. Marianne Wotrich, and so that is available to our students. A big part of what's going to be happening this school year is we're going to be looking at Western civilizations and then studying the history of the science of those periods. So for example, we're talking about ancient Egypt. Well, let's talk about the science and the medicine and the mathematics of ancient Egypt. So there's going to be an integration of history, literature, mathematics, and science in the Western civilizations course, which happens mostly in the afternoons for the students. In the mornings, there's a lot of math and science for some of the older students. Mrs. Owen is the homeroom teacher for the 4th and 5th graders. We have a homeroom teacher for the 6th and 7th graders and a homeroom teacher for the 8th to 10th graders. On Wednesdays, we have an international chapel where students will sing songs of praise in French and Spanish and Latin and Portuguese and some Nigerian languages. We want them to learn about all these cultures and all these languages and just sing and praise the Lord in those languages. At 10 o'clock, we have art for the older students and then French for the younger students. And then we have computer science for the older students and gym for the younger students. And then lunch for the younger students while the older students have French. The full details of our Wednesday schedule can be found in the brochure. We have 4 quarters, each about 8 weeks. Some quarters are longer than 8 weeks, but about 8 weeks. And our trip to Europe will happen in the 4th quarter later on in the year. Our school year ends on May 23rd. That will be the last day of school. We start school on August 21st, and it goes for, as I said, about 8 weeks in each quarter. We'll have parent-teacher conferences. We'll have breaks spread out throughout the year. In the summer, we will have learning opportunities for parents and students, and there's no extra cost for Life STEM Academy students to attend any of those camps. There's a few key dates that are listed in the handbook. We have the teacher preparation season. We have a back-to-school picnic for the Moorhead campus, which is on August 10th in the evening. More details will be coming soon. We have Labor Day off. We have professional development at the end of September. We have fall parent-teacher conferences. One of the things that I want to address quickly is if you've ever wondered why Finland is one of the best school systems in the world, the reason is because there's a lot of cooperation and support for multiple people for each child. And so at Life STEM Academy, we cannot overemphasize the importance of parents being there for their children and pouring into their children's lives. We have people that will be available, older parents, parents that are grandparents now, that will be doing a few workshops and just casual evenings where you can come and ask questions and get to learn more ways to support your child. We need the parents to partner with us to provide the best education that child can have. I'll just share this in terms of maybe there's an investor or people out there who want to donate and support the school. You're always welcome to do that. We have scholarship opportunities to help families. So for every family that applies to the school, if you need financial aid or scholarships, please let us know. Put it in the enrollment form, and we would love to send you that scholarship form. We're putting a deadline of August 8th for the scholarship application. So if you are interested, please fill out the information, ask for that form, and we'll send it to you. We will give you a response back by August 10th, and we'll let you know what we're able to help with. So please, every family should please recognize that cost should not stop you. We want to work with you. And so we have a team of people that will help with scholarships and financial aid. We are going to try our best to do an integrative approach to what we're learning for the middle school and high school so that at the end of the year, when we do the Germany-Switzerland trip, you can see a lot of the pieces of what you're learning all along the way. We want our students to have a global perspective, understanding the world, because ultimately some of them will be missionaries going out and sharing the good news of Jesus. We're going to have an annual talent show, an annual high school retreat, and middle school retreat. And we're going to have opportunities for prayer, a quarterly prayer meeting which parents are invited to come to, and just how can we pray for you? How can we encourage you? How can we walk alongside you? In addition to a local church you might be a part of. Or maybe you're new to all of this. Well, join us and learn about the importance of prayer and just coming together as a community to encourage one another. These days that we live in are not normal times. These are not normal times. And we want to support families in prayer. We have opportunities for spring break. We have a Christmas break, Thanksgiving break. Let's talk about costs. The cost to attend the hybrid program 2 days a week is $3,000. However, everyone is welcome to submit an application for scholarship or financial aid if that's a concern. Children have a lot of potential, and we want to partner with families to help their students flourish in all areas of life. We hope to inspire students to have vision, as I said, for life. Therefore, we do not want finances to be a problem. The full 5-day option, if somebody wants to attend the 5-day option, is $7,500 or $7,500. Both the hybrid program and the 5-day option have a monthly payment plan. And we spread that out over 10 months, except if you ask specifically to be considered for the 12-month option. But please know that we have supported, by God's grace and by support of other people that have donated, we are able to help some students with that tuition. So please do not allow finance to be a hindrance. We want to support you in any way we can. Who is Amos Tarfa? Who is the founder of Life STEM Academy? Why? What's his story? What's his background? If you don't mind, I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I don't know how long it'll take in terms of just going into side tangents, but I'll make sure they're relevant tangents. But let me just talk a little bit about the founder of Life STEM Academy. My name is Amos Tarfa. As I said, I was born in Nigeria. I came to the United States to study for my pre-med degree in chemistry. I had read the story of Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, back when I was in Nigeria, and I was inspired to be a pediatrician. I wanted to help children to flourish in life. I wanted to be a doctor by day and then a speaker by, in the evening or in the afternoon, speaking to young people, inspiring them, giving them books. So I went to the University of Wisconsin in Superior, and I got a degree in chemistry. But during those years, I also came across a man who was a philosophy professor, and I had some interesting conversations with him, just sharing with him my faith as a Christian and some of the concerns I had about philosophy being taught in America. And so we became very good, he became a good instructor to my vision as a whole. I joined his philosophy of science class, and I got introduced to the field of philosophy of science. What I ended up doing was I got a minor in philosophy, and I have a huge, a big focus on the history and philosophy of science. So I went to the University of Wisconsin in Superior. I got my degrees in chemistry with a minor in philosophy, but I was already doing a pre-med degree though, so I graduated with a pre-med chemistry degree. So I took molecular biology, I took other courses that I wouldn't have normally had to take. So by God's grace, I've been blessed to, I've taken all the fields of science essentially. In one way or the other, I've studied all the branches. So got my degree in 2010. But prior to that, I went to school, as I said, in Federal Government College, Lagos, where I was a science student. In Nigeria, they put you on a track. So you're going to go into either the science track, the social science track, and so on and so forth. So I was a science student, which meant the following courses had to be taken. I had to take 9 courses in chemistry, 6 courses in physics, 3 courses in biology, 3 courses in mathematics, 6 courses in advanced mathematics, along with courses in agricultural science, geography, English, French, and Hausa language. I did all those courses in only 3 years, and that's very typical of Nigerian students in high school. So if you do the math, that means that we do about 25 to 30 math and science courses in just 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. At the university level, I studied chemistry with a focus in biochemistry for my final paper. I found biochemistry to be very fascinating because it showed different aspects of the design that God has made in the human body and the world He's created. I focused on the blood clotting cascade and read books like Darwin's Black Box by Michael Behe. I also got introduced to people like Dr. Stephen Meyer, and we have his book as part of our biology program. So I took cell and molecular biology under Dr. Ralph Silke at the University of Wisconsin in Superior as well. I love studying the history and philosophy of science, and I want every one of my students to also study that. Everyone who wants to go into STEM should study the history and philosophy of science, because it's very humbling for scientists to realize the limits of science and how science works, and then it also introduces them to ways of thinking critically and thinking better about science. As part of my research in my undergraduate education, I was involved in work with a microbial geneticist, Dr. Ralph Silke. And I did work on just studying bacteria and doing some editing to see if we can get jet fuel out of bacteria doing the work for us on the fatty acid chains. And that project was fun, but I also did work with some of his transfer of bacteria from one generation to the next in the study of evolutionary biology. We also studied that as well. I've done a lot of reading and studies in evolutionary biology as well as chemistry, as I mentioned. In philosophy, the philosophy of science, epistemology, logic, philosophy of religion, basic philosophy, and ethics are the fields that I did classes in. In the philosophy of science class, we examined the demarcation problem and the history and the theory of evolution. That was the focus of my history and philosophy of science class. What is science? What is it? Have you ever thought about that? What is science? What are the paradigms that we discuss in science? This led me to do more writing, and I published my second book in 2009. Well, it came out in 2010, but I finished writing it in 2009. I was also introduced to people like Professor John Lennox and other Christian thinkers. I met John Lennox, Professor Lennox, in 2010, and then I met him again in 2020. I was planning to get a PhD in either the history and philosophy of science or biochemistry, but I ended up actually teaching high school biology, mathematics, ACT preparation, Bible, and history instead. I did that for about 2 years, and then I started a tutoring center that focused on math and science in Duluth, Minnesota, and Superior, Wisconsin. Those programs are still available. We're still willing to help and support people in Duluth, Minnesota, Superior, Wisconsin, and I have a team that I'm working with to get that established, so you can stay tuned for that. We have a school in Moorhead, Minnesota, and Grand Forks, North Dakota, as I mentioned earlier. After tutoring for a few years and running education programs, I went on to work in medical physics as a medical physicist assistant. I got my master's in medical physics and also in medical health physics. I've worked as a diagnostic medical physicist now for many years. I also work as a math and science instructor and content creator. I have written and coordinated a plan and a program called Inspirational Mathematics. There's a video that goes over the Inspirational Mathematics program, which you can find on our website or on, you can find it on our website, or you can look it up. If you go to learn.fulllifeacademy.org, you'll see some of our programs for Inspirational Mathematics. I completed 1 year of a PhD program in chemistry, which is why we moved to Fargo, North Dakota. And my field or my focus, I did a course in physical chemistry as well as work in STEM education. I want to see STEM education get more efficient. In Inspirational Mathematics, I took 9 years of mathematics that we teach starting from 3rd grade to 11th grade, and I condensed that to 3 years, which provides kids with high-quality math education in 3 years so they can take calculus, which can then be a gateway to many fields of study. That is why I want kids to take calculus quickly so that they are given the opportunity to see the applications of math in many fields. My goal is to establish STEM schools all across America, 7,000 to be specific, by the grace of God, in every state in America, in many cities across the country. I want to see schools of different sizes, different opportunities, create a network, and then connect it to the network of schools that we're starting in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Liberia, and around the world. I am excited to work with students in inspiring them to learn the history of science, to learn the history of mathematics, to see the role that the Romans had, the Greeks, and then also just showing them ultimately what really matters, which is, again, growing in truth. By the grace of God, I have published 4 books. I have written a book called Achieving Excellence as a Young Person, Christianity 201, The Pursuit of Excellence, Principles for Academic Excellence, which is a sub-book out of the second book, Pursuing Excellence in Character, Tools for Mastering Mathematics. So I've published more of 4 books, but there's subdivisions of some of those books. So if you wanted to count each booklet, then there'll be more than 4. But I've done about 4 books with more coming out soon. I have a weekly podcast that will start up here, Living Sensibly podcast, an education and faith podcast, where I talk about issues surrounding education and having a quality education. You only have one brain. We should use it to the max. Children have a lot of potential. Let's help them max out on that potential. Let's just help them to keep growing and flourishing, as Paul says in Philippians chapter 3. Let them keep pressing on to the onward mark, like to the goal. Keep pressing on. Don't settle for less. The summary. LifeSTEM Academy is offering a 2-day-a-week program and also a 5-day program, but the majority of our students are attending our hybrid program, where students are given assignments to do the rest of the week from home. They can also come for the elective day. Students can follow the lesson plans provided in the books that they're using. We have an online portal for all our math courses, which students can use. We provide quality math education in person and online. Our courses are available to people to watch from all over the world. If you want to join our courses, you can follow our schedule. You can sign up and Zoom into our meetings. If parents are going on vacation during certain weeks, you let us know. We can work with your schedule. And what if you use a curriculum that is different from the one that we use at LifeSTEM Academy? You're welcome to join us as well. Because LifeSTEM Academy also exists to provide a place for people to do presentations and to share in the things that they're learning and the things they're working on. We hope, by the grace of God, to transform this culture. I really appreciate your time, and I would love to meet with you if you want to hear more about our school. If you live in a different state, then let us know if you're interested in our program. I'm also available to give talks in churches and communities about education, about math education, about how to help young people to flourish in life. So please let us know if you're interested in scheduling us to come to your city as well. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe, share this video with your friends. We are on a mission to provide a quality education in the cities we're in, but also to provide a quality education alternative idea for families to consider and to revise their own learning programs to step up. Like, we want families to step things up in every area, and so we want to provide enrichment for all families across America. I pray that we make an impact, even as our children are our hope. We need them to learn the best they can and be removed from learning in situations that inhibit them from flourishing. Take care, and God bless.